You guys are going to talk about a lefty, and we happen to have our own lefty, Dan Plesac, with us.
And D-Ro walked in, and he said, Lauren, there's not a lefty alive that Dan Plesac didn't think he could just beat every single time. Is that a fact?
There was one.
There was one.
There was one.
Oh, there was Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn.
He owned me. Ownership. Lauren, he had the papers. You got signed the papers? Yes.
You imagine in today's game, with all the analytics and the edgetronics and all this stuff, you'd be throwing 120 miles an hour.
Yeah, you know, I know the guy you want to get into is Framber Valdez. To me, he's a nightmare because he does a couple of things that I couldn't do. He has that natural tail. So he'll throw a ball into a lefty, which I didn't do very often, and he'll do that to a righty where he'll start it at the front hip and bring it back out. So he has one that goes this way. He has the cutter.
One of the best curveballs. He just started to bring in. Let's bring up his pitch usage. Can we, Kapal? And the thing about Framber, he has pitched on the biggest stages early in his career. So I just feel like, give me the ball, take the rosin bag, throw it down, and let's go to work.
And you know what he is, too? He's effectively wild enough to where you don't get comfortable in the batter's box. He can start spraying the ball, and then he finds it. Next thing you know, he's painting a 2-1 curveball on you, and you're standing in the box going, okay, what do I look for now?
Absolutely. So you take a look at his pitch usage, 50% sinker, the curveballs for days, no one hits it, $1.63 against the curve. Occasional changeup, and he's added in this little cutter for 2022, $1.54 off that. So I wanted to bring Dan out here because I can't imagine, as a right-handed hitter, I can't imagine some of these guys left on left. So Framber's out there with the ability, like Dan said, to make the ball move to every quadrant. And then you got Mr. Corey Seager, one of my favorite players in the game, who doesn't discriminate, can hit right-handers or left-handers. But I can't imagine this is a good matchup for him going into this Wago right here. So pause real quick for me. Can you get it back to him set on the mound? Because I think it's very interesting. I always felt, flip him if he was a right-hander. I always felt if the pitcher was standing, a right-handed pitcher was standing on the first base side of the mound, that I saw the ball real well. And I felt like if he moved over to the third base side of the mound, I almost felt like I had my back to him. He stands all the way on the third base side with the sinker. I almost feel like he can manipulate the rubber a little bit more.
It's a little bit unique because most lefties, you want to be on the rubber more so on your arm side. So most lefties will start out in the middle or towards the first base side. What leads me to believe is
He's got almost too much run on his ball.
One thing this leads me to believe is this. He has a more difficult time making sure that he can keep that ball on the outer half. It's easier when you're on the third base side because your body and your momentum. One thing he does really well, he's very well balanced right through here. And this probably being on this side enables him to be able to hit that corner, particularly to a lefty. It's easier than standing over here and you feel like you're throwing across your body to get the ball to that part of the plate.
So run this and we'll talk through these ABs. What was your MO once he goes there, all right? That's going to be a steady diet of expanding off that and seeing how far Corey Seager. And what does he do? Run that back real quick. That's why Corey Seager's one of the best in the business. Swings through the first curveball, spits on the second one. He tries to sneak a cheese ball by him, and he just gets himself jammed in a little bullet the other way. What was your MO? I love his swing.
I always thought the safest place left on left was down and away to a lefty, with the exception of Jim Thome, Ken Griffey Jr., Mo Vaughn. Those big, strong guys could take a ball, outer third down, and they could drive away. What made it tough for Mo Vaughn, that short porch in Fenway. So you want to pitch him away. He was so strong he could hit that fly ball off the wall. But I felt, as a general rule, if I could make Corey Seager think opposite way, I've won the war. How many opposite field homers is he really going to hit in that ballpark in Arlington? He's going to hit a few, but most of his homers are going to be to center field or to right field. So if I can get a left-handed hitter thinking the other way, I'm taking a guy that's a big, strong power guy, and I'm turning him into more, hey, I want to hit the ball the other way. And there aren't a lot of lefties. There aren't Jim Thome.
We were talking about that, Lauren. We were talking about that with Yordan Alvarez. The exact same thing. So run his second at bat and keep talking through that, because I feel like that's 100% the truth. All right, he gets away with one right there. But once he knows he can get him on this curveball, run that back. You just keep going to that well, don't you?
No question. And the reason, the first at bat, when he had that, he got jammed.
Yes.
That ball tailed into him. So it kind of tied him up. Seager. If you can make a guy like Seager think, hey, I'm going the other way, I have turned a legitimate 25 to 30 home run guy, and I'm turning him into a higher average hitter. Now, the only threat that you have with this, D-Ro, if you consistently want to go away to a guy like Seager, is a man on second, man on third, less than 2 outs, because now the base hit, you're not worried about the home run. You're not worried about damage control. Now a good hitter like Seager, if he has a good understanding, hey, you're going to be away, then he's just going to go ahead and flare you and hit you to left field.
Yeah.
When you can't have that in a tie game.
Were you a guy, I used to sit early in my career next to Maddox, Glav, and Smoltz and just pick their brains all the time. And Maddox said to me, simplify the game. I feel like players overthink it. And you're seeing right here, he feels he can't hit his curveball. That little slider down the way, little curveball. Maddox would be like, until the hitter proves to me that he will make the adjustment, I am not deviating from what prove it.
It's the hardest thing to do because you in the back of your mind, you're expecting, like, after 2 or 3 at-bats, like,
He's got to make the adjustment.
He's got to make the adjustment. And when it really messes with you, when you come into a spot like this, say it was a 1-run game, and you've gone curveball, you've gone away, and you know in your mind it's a first pitch curveball, then you start doubting, thinking, he has to remember the last 3 at-bats that I'm starting him off first pitch hook. Is he going to sit on this hook, and he's going to hit it the other way? And that's the fight you fight, that internal part when you're pitching. You know it works, but you wonder, hey, does this guy remember what I did? And is he going to make the adjustment? I always felt like this. Coming in out of the bullpen, the most important pitch you throw, Mark, is the first one. Because if the first one's wrong, you might not get a chance to throw a second one.
Yeah.
You come in to get Seager with second and third in a 1-run game, and he hits a ball down the gap and 2-run score, you're out of the game, and you've blown it. So you have to make sure the first pitch, all that data that's going through your mind, has to be the right one.